Really, preparing to compete is very much about planning, preparation and attention to detail. So here are the key questions. Now think about this from a competing side perspective. So, you know, days where there's a little bit of pressure, perhaps you're self-imposed. What are your needs, you know, on show day? What do you need? Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Miracles, alcohol, prayers, an entire entourage. Just keep saying, you look fab, darling, you look fab.
Self-help a lot, doesn't it?
Well, it depends. You see, some people will, yeah, you see, I prefer to.
Yeah, no. And rescue remedy.
Yeah,
yes.
Buckets of rescue remedy.
I must try
Yeah.
Box. Oh.
Rescue remedy, a little herbal that you dab on your tongue.
It tastes like alcohol.
And that.
Other brands are available, of course. Do you build whatever your needs are, whether they're physical needs, whether they're emotional needs, whether they're mental needs, a bit of peace and quiet, a bit of time out, a bit of opportunity to relax, how do you focus, how all of that stuff that we've been talking about for the last 6 weeks, you know, how do you build that into your routine? My sense, my guess, my bet is that most of us, if we think back to the last time we had a day competing, or just a day where we were going out somewhere and it was, you know, going out for a nice sponsored ride or a nice hack, but it was, you know, it was an activity-based day, we weren't just lolling around, that actually we weren't consciously thinking building in anywhere in that day some time to do whatever we need to make sure we're in a good place. You know, now luckily more and more you are seeing at shows, particularly with some of the sort of clubs, the young pony clubs, you are seeing kids take their, you know, MP3 players, their iPods, and they're starting to listen to music. You know, I don't know enough about what they're listening to know whether they're listening to music because young people these days seem to constantly listen to music, or whether someone has smartly said to them, hey, if you're getting a bit wound up, listen to your favourite track. You know, it takes you off somewhere. If you're getting a little distressed and a little hyper, listen to something that brings you down a little bit. So I don't know, but it's interesting. I'm noticing more and more at the showgrounds, youngsters have got they're riding their horses with their things in. So anyway, the question is, you know, do you build whatever your needs are into your competitive routine, into that routine for that particular day? How do you react under pressure? We talked about that in handling anxiety. You know, there's the mental pressure, all the doubts, the worries, the capability concerns, the fears, the anxiety, and then there's the physiological stuff, whether it's the running to the toilet, whether it's the sweaty palms, the tight chest, the sort of, we find we're coughing a lot, dry throat, all of the above, or even jerky movements and shakes. What are those signals for you, you know, that you're under pressure? So how do you manage it? What routines, what is it that you can do that actually helps you settle? And I think routines is the right word. I kind of jostled with it a little bit, but for me, most of the time to settle, I mean, just like settling a dog or a horse, it's about some sort of familiarity, it's some sort of comfort that we need to get. And that typically comes from some sort of habitual behaviour that we can do. So it might just be that actually grooming our horse is a way of us settling. Partly because, of course, we become focused on the horse, which is a lovely distraction from our own butterflies or doubting Thomas thoughts that we're having in our mind. So is it the grooming? Is it tacking up that becomes that kind of centering moment where you think, right, let's get ready, here we go, girth on, but, you know, you go around your horse and you check your tack. What are those routines that you can easily do? You don't need to create extra time to build them in because you've got to do them anyway, that will actually be of benefit to you, and make sure you use them for that purpose. And what events don't help? And that's so important. You know, quite a few of you have already said, actually, I kind of like to be on my own at shows. So if you've got every, you know, happy Cathy in the land who knows you, coming along trying to give you that last minute bit of advice and pep talk, and you know that stresses you out and distracts you and creates, you know, a nightmare for you rather than being helpful, how do you manage that? How do you politely say, not now, but I'll chat later? Trot along, dear. You know, how do you do that? So just spend a couple of minutes just thinking on your own for a minute or two. I'm just going to give you a minute or two to think down that list and think to yourself, what are my answers to that?